So Bethany, I mean,
So, Bethany, what do you think we're going to do? How in the world are we going to handle these issues? But Bethany,
these are some great examples. And
They're great. These are great examples. None of them work. They're all absurd, but they're great.
another one that comes to my mind that has been completely co-opted.
Completely. Pegging and then shit. Completely.
By the left is gender. And I know you have so much experience in the history of your professional life in
In the history of your professional life.
dealing with this. Where are we today on this issue and the language and the words and the definitions?
Well, I got to say, when both of you have a couple of mojitos in you, both of you start saying dude. And as a man, I feel like that violates my territory. You are women, clearly biological females identifying as women, and you're fucking saying dude to each other while you're drunk. And that is co-opting a term that is about a male with a ding-dong, all right? And so you're using a ding-dong word to describe you and your girlfriends, and I feel violated.
Let's talk about the word gender. The word gender is no longer a polite way to refer to biological sex, male
By the way, notice how she said polite way to refer to sex, because saying sex, icky.
or female. The word now is completely toxic. It's no longer being used
Good point, Adrian. By the way, I just saw that too. Yes, we'll get to that stuff a little bit later. This is a special report.
to mean male or female, but now how people identify, which is where we get this idea of gender identity. Katie, did you know that there are between 72 and 1,000 different kinds of gender?
Yeah, on Tumblr. Fucking relax.
We should never use the word gender as concern.
Never. Don't say gender. Just don't say it. Unless you're talking about Jen and how she treated somebody. Like she totally like snapped at them in the way that she does. And she totally gender.
Conservatives. It's not specific and it's nonsensical. Instead, use the word sex or biology.
Yes. Absolutely. Use the word sex. Use it. Don't be afraid. Use the word sex. Say it. Say sex. All right.
Biological sex or male and female.
Yeah, I think again, men and women and male and female used to be synonymous. Now they are not necessarily, and there should be a distinction between male and female sports and men and women's sports. And when it comes to biological sex and certain things, men have a physical advantage, and therefore, when we say men and women's sports or boys and girls sports, we mean male and female. And in special cases, if somebody has transitioned over a long period of time and their system is much closer aligned to the sex they identify with, then they could participate in these things, but they can't just say last week I transitioned and now I can play sports with girls who are a foot shorter than me. And most people understand that, and most trans people don't want to have anything to do with that kind of bullshittery. And a lot of this has to do with it's an easy fix.
I don't know. I just want to see people play together. Why can't, nobody had a problem when John Candy wrestled those girls.
And I don't care where you are in the administration, you will deal with the word gender.
Yeah, okay. And just don't say sex.
Speaking of sex, the next phrase that we're going
Slow down.
to talk about is sex assigned at birth. Now, I just told you to use the word sex, and you may think that sex assigned at birth, that sounds great. Well, actually, it's not. It's the...
Also, most people refer to this as gender assigned at birth. Right, because that's the shiftable part. Sex is just a definitional word. And again, there's a big difference between descriptives and definitions. There are a lot of descriptives. They can play all over the place. You know what I mean? Somebody calls you a bitch. That's not a definition. That's a descriptor. You can fit that description or not. You can disagree with their belief that you are one or you aren't one. You can be male or female and have someone call you that. You can have male and female call you that as a descriptive that you think is funny or that you're insulted by. There's a lot of zones around that, correct? Yes, we understand that. And then there's male and female in terms of if a surgeon is operating on your abdomen, what are they going to run into?
The left's attempt to change biological fact and to try to normalize their belief that biological sex can change. Unfortunately,
No, they just believe it's not determinant for gender identity, for your expression in the world. And again, I'm only saying that you look like the lead singer of Kathmandu because you do. But he doesn't wear a blue dress, so I'm not going to walk up to him and say, "Hey, I loved you in that Project 2025 video."
many folks, including solid conservatives, have accepted this and don't understand the danger in using this term. In fact, some conservatives have even taken this term and changed it slightly, gender as revealed at birth. The left is infiltrating our conservative organizations.
Oh my God, they're getting into our brains.
Christian
They're making us feel like accepting and understanding.
schools, and even churches. We must always be on guard. And when a new term
Yeah, I agree. You should always act as though the rest of the world is trying to get inside your brain. It's a totally healthy position, and it's a great way to live. Talk about like just relaxing into life, It's a good way to do it. Why pass up an opportunity to be unnecessarily paranoid?
term is introduced, ask, what is the genesis for this new term and why was it introduced? If you see the term
Really? Anybody says something to you and you don't understand it, that's how you, where did that come from? What are you talking about?
sex assigned at birth, delete it and replace it with biological sex. The next issue under gender is pronouns. Don't fall into the progressive left's
Do
trap
not.
in regard to
Don't.
pronouns. Don't
Don't do it.
use them in email signature blocks, on LinkedIn, and absolutely do not ask people what their pronouns are on your first day on the job. When I was at USAID,
What a terribly unwelcoming thing to do, Jesus.
managers were giving training and were told that when they have new staff or have a staff meeting, they should go around the room and ask everyone what their pronouns are. Katie, if that happened to you, what would you do?
I think political appointees, Bethany, great question, need to expect that they are going to be tested by career staff the day they walk in. So that
This, by the way, career and career staff is how they refer to the deep state in this. They'll say the deep state is real and blah, 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 but they're referring to career and career staff. That's who they're talking about in this situation, just so you know.
question, every political appointee should be prepared to deal with and answer, whether it's in a training. I don't think it'll take that long. It probably will be the first couple days on the job. So a political appointee is empowered. They are empowered because they are absolutely put in the position, whatever level it is, in order to implement the president's agenda. And that is the business of a political appointee and should be the business of all federal employees. So the answer is simple.
No, federal employees often are hired specifically to do a job that is apolitical to the circumstance. Math doesn't change because you're conservative or liberal. The idea is that they should just provide you. People with the Office of Management and Budget shouldn't shift to the to the economic theory of whoever's in the White House every time they turn around and go, well, I guess we're interpreting numbers differently right now. Right? No. So they absolutely should. They don't just fucking go. And this is why they want to replace everybody, because people don't do that.
We're here to implement the president's priorities.
We're here. We're not queer. Get used to it.
An agenda. We are not here to discuss pronouns.
The next
Well, you don't have to discuss them. It's a simple question, and then you just get on with fucking living. By the way, on the subject of pronouns, if I may, there is a There's a distinctly awkward element of asking people's pronouns when there is a trans person in your environment that is on the edge of passing, for example. Some people pass very well. Some people certainly don't. And other people are kind of in the mid zone. And those people often, in my conversations with them, are the most anxious around the pronouns situation because they don't benefit from it. They, in that moment, feel like they're being outed by being asked. If you can't tell, right? You can tell when someone doesn't pass, but they're really trying because it's obvious that they are dressing in a manner that seems contradictory to the way their biological system is set up. And so they kind of stand out in that regard. And so out of respect, you can understand that they're more than likely, you're going to know their pronouns. And they might ask you for that moment to go through that process with them. And if you're going to be fucking nice, you'll ask and then they'll answer and you'll be fine. Somebody who totally passes doesn't care any more than what be a straight person would, because or a gay person who's obviously male or female and presents as such, right? Yes. So they don't worry about it. It's the people on the edge of it who are concerned about whether or not they pass, who may or may not. Maybe they're even in a transitional period where they're starting to express, right? And they don't know if they fully express, if that makes sense. And so that person stresses out when they have what is effectively the pronoun circle jerk around them, because here it comes. Lucara in our chat room says, can I be a total asshole and ask who the intended audience is here? Yes. This video is a private video. How passing is relevant. No, it isn't. Not to the social interaction. It's not about the value of the person. It's absolutely relevant. And if you don't believe me, you're talking to a guy with long hair, okay? There are a myriad of ways to express your gender and your sex, and some people are accepting of it, and some people are not. And if you're trying to make someone feel accepted, you have to be aware that not everybody will be immediately on the team to be accepted. Think closeted gay people who, in the case of several of my friends back in the day, had what we would call a glass door on their closet. Everybody knew, but nobody said it because it was up to them to come out when they wanted to, right? It's not up to you to walk up and go, you're gay. You're obviously gay. I mean, nobody talks like that if they're not gay, right? What an asshole. It's up to them. Even if it's self-evident, it's up to them. And there are people in the spectrum of expression that, by the way, are in many ways the vast majority of trans people active in the world that vacillate in how they present and pass and whether they're comfortable. Okay? And respect for that doesn't automatically mean trans women are women and pointing right at them while they're in this because they would rather just present as a woman. Yes? Without attention being brought to the fact that they're trans all the time. Yeah? I'm trying to actually add some depth to the sensitivity about this instead of thinking that everybody's on board with a certain number of jargon points and moving on. And these ladies are, there is a guilt on their side that is equally expressed in the far edges of the queer community, for example, that assumes that everybody's thinly sliced definition, your non-binary, femme-presenting, genderqueer slice that now defines you, but with three very distinct phrases, is any more freeing than just saying there's man and there's woman. Shut the fuck up. Those are the same conversations. Saying you need 9 labels to explain who you are, and that's who you are, and saying there are 2 is the exact same problem. Okay, just clarifying. Because these ladies want everybody, hey, look, there's dudes and there's chicks. Because also, they're also not just worried about presenting or trans people at all. This is all based in misogyny. Let's not lose, clarity on that. Yeah? Let's be abundantly clear. They're less concerned about the trans as a thing and more focused on women have a station in life and men who act like women are weak and broken and gross, and that's why they hate them. It's the same reason they hate gay men. Why would a man debase himself with another man the way women debase themselves with a man because they think of any even submissive or non-hierarchical relationship as gross on some level. That's what they're selling. You have to understand that to understand them. I don't know that you want to, but it will help you in arguing these points with some dipshit at some point.
Topic is gender affirming care. Gender affirming care and what the Biden administration is promoting is absolutely
Also, they're not promoting it. Nobody is promoting gender affirming care. They want it to be available for those that need it, but that's not the same thing.
infuriating, especially as for parents. We need to be protecting our children from these harmful, sterilizing puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and permanent genital mutilation. That's what gender affirming care is.
No, it isn't. That's your panic about 0.05% of the populace. And that you might think that there's social bleed from it, and that some kids who aren't trans will think they are because they're autistic or something, and you're concerned about those kids, so you want to, because they exist in a space, so you want to deny real trans kids their rights and the technology that's available to them, even in a limited sense, because you're afraid of this amorphous cloud of, my kid's just going to decide he's queer one day, and that scares the shit out of you, so you can't allow people to be gay because it will seem so intoxicating, instead of recognizing it's natural, and just as being straight is natural. And I look, lady, I'm here to tell you, if gay was contagious, I'd have caught it a long time. My life would have been a lot easier. I was on Queer as Folk. I've made out with more, I guarantee, I have made out with more dudes than this lady has. And it didn't turn me gay. It doesn't work that way, stupid. Yeah. Meanwhile, also, neither of these ladies are against circumcision. So, and as someone who was mutilated at birth,
Not care at all. The idea that gender is fluid is evil. And it is
no, it isn't. Or you would be against women having short hair.
a major initiative of the Biden administration.
No, it isn't. Acceptance is.
It's layered into each and every office, document, task force, and funding priority.
Because we represent freedom in this country, even if it's a freedom we don't participate in ourselves.
Perhaps most commonly known are the changes to Title IX, giving institutions, schools, control over children and their gender preference, working against parents, mandating boys compete against girls.
They don't mandate that boys compete against girls.
This is all done with words. Words matter.
Yes, I agree. Most of our laws in this country are created by words. That for a couple more years, and then it'll all be AI and binary.
Change the words, change the culture.
Right, like turn climate change into population control.